Well, now it's time to check your money with America's money maven, Vicki Brackens. Vicki Brackens is the president of Brackens Financial Solutions Network, LLC, and a registered representative of LPL Financial, member SIPC. Vicki.
George, good morning, good morning. Good morning to everybody there. What they used to say in Radio Land? It's an old saying, but good morning to everybody. Glad to be back.
Radio and Video Land.
I guess we have to say that now, Radio and Video Land. You know, a couple of weeks ago, we started talking about the Juneteenth reset. You remember that?
I do.
And encouraged everyone to reach out and to the link that you had as far as the segment was concerned with Dr. Pamela Jolly on the reset. And one of the things that was emphasized was the fact that we needed to start looking at how to do things differently versus just doing different things. And I emphasized during that point in time that one of the things that we may want to look at doing differently was how flexible we were, because we incorporated a new term, which was anti-fragile, not being fragile, anti-fragility. And then, how cash was really, really important to making sure that you weren't fragile so that you wouldn't break during times of stress. And we looked at some of the things that we were doing differently, and we talked about summer staycations versus summer vacations that were typically, you know, like $4,000 or $5,000 in an American budget, that we could probably bring that back to somewhere around $600 and save the rest, because we wanted to have cash in order to make sure that we weren't fragile.
Right,
so here's the thing.
Can I confess something, yo? Well, I did a little excursion down the thruway to Niagara Falls yesterday. Does that count as a staycation, sort of, kind of?
Well, you're within your car. Okay.
Yes.
I think, who was that? Channel 5 or somebody talking about vacations on a tank full?
Yes. That's less than a tank full.
Less than a tank full. So I'll let you slide with that one, okay?
Thank you.
All right. But it would be a little bit better if we could close that radius a little bit. But that is definitely a lot better than flying off to Disney World or flying across the country, etc. But the primary thing was we could still do vacation, but we would do it differently this year in order to create cash, because we needed to be sure that we were conserving our cash for something that might be coming down the road. And it's that might be coming down the road on the timing issues that I really want to discuss today. And that is the fact, I love, were you a Game of Thrones watcher, George?
I watched it. I did a binge watch. So yes.
Okay, you did a binge watch.
Yes,
what was
and
the
I did.
term? What was the thing they always would say?
Oh my, now I forgot now.
Winter
coming.
is coming.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Winter is coming. Now, in upstate New York, we used to think winter is coming was all about the snow. What they are also emphasizing is that stress and strain and turmoil and things that we may need to prepare for, that time is coming. And we got our first indication this week of winter is coming, because the timing around this is going to be vitally important as to how fragile your budget is going to be in order to sustain yourself through this winter. Here's what happened this week, George. The second quarter GDP numbers were announced this week.
Sure.
For everyone who doesn't know GDP, gross domestic product, it's basically a measurement of economic activity, how the economy is performing. It sometimes can be confusing because of what's happening with the stock market, because stock market and GDP are not the same thing. If you recall, when I was on WCNY for Financial Fitness, I had a segment a lot of times talking about the difference between Wall Street and Main Street. GDP is about Main Street, about what's happening with individuals. So the GDP numbers were announced this week, and we are down 32.9%. Now that is an annualized number, But what it's saying is that the economy right now, as far as how it's performing in the first quarter, is down on a first quarter basis, roughly 9.5%. But if that continues at the same pace for the rest of the year, that would end up being 32%. And to think about what 32% really means, that means that 1/3 of the value of the economy would disappear. That is what I call a potential winter is coming. And how do you prepare for that level of downturn? Because the stock market, which is, we talk about, and you know, that's my business, is very, very important. But what's more important to individuals is what's happening on Main Street. What's happening with economic activity? How is that going to bleed into my employment? How is that going to impact what's possibly going to happen as far as growth in the local economy and jobs and things of that nature? So this first indicator, which was the worst number I think that we've had ever or close to ever, tells us that winter is right around the corner if something doesn't change drastically. You need to be prepared. You need to do things differently. We need to get ready and have cash available so that we can go through this next 6 to 8 months. I mentioned this again a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
It looked like this was going to happen. 6 to 8 months of keeping ourselves afloat. Congress was supposed to pass the stimulus bill. I thought they would. They did not. Hear me. It has not been passed yet, which means there's going to be a gap. There's going to be a gap as far as some of the unemployment, exactly, unemployment dollars, the extra money that was coming in that was really helping everyone. So you need to stop right now. And here's what I would recommend that you do. Stop right now and look at where are you in your cash position. Run scenarios, and I would write them down. Run scenarios on next week, how am I going to pay for this? The following week, how am I going to pay for that? Where can I find cash right now? What can I do to trim my expenses to create cash for the future? What do I need to do as far as possibly a second job if it's available, or another way to create a revenue stream? But getting cash in place is very, very important right now because it's about two things. One, survival. Number two, opportunities.
Sure.
During the times of an economic downturn, there are many opportunities that crop up, but you have to have what in order to take advantage of them?
Liquidity.
Liquidity.
Cash.
Remember, cash, liquidity. This is like years back. You must have liquidity in order to take advantage. But first, we want to make sure that we're all set as far as our survival numbers, and then also our liquidity for opportunities. So next week, I'm going to discuss hidden opportunities for creating cash. Okay, that you may not be aware of. And also the second thing is opportunities in your backyard that you're not seeing. Okay, but this week's homework.
Yes.
For the next 7 days, go through, schedule out your liquidity plan. Where would we get cash for the next 6 to 8 months on a survival basis in case winter comes, as far as your employment or your family is impacted in a negative way that you weren't planning for. Okay, George, before I close, I want to say a couple of things. August 20th. August 20th is Music and Your Money. Go to Brackens FSN, that's brackensfsn.com. Go onto our events page, register. Not only are we having music, we are going to do a special segment on some of the things that we're talking about as far as in your money that we haven't talked about on air before. Be sure and register for that. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to us at area code 315-930-4499. Go to our YouTube page. We replay these segments, and we have many more on some of the concepts that we've been discussing. Be sure and like us there on the YouTube and subscribe, or onto our Facebook page or on Twitter. You can follow us every week. And at this point, George, I'll say our plate is full.
Try this.
Hey, George, take me out.
Well, that's Vicki Brackens, America's Money Maven. Vicki Brackens is the president of Brackens Financial Solutions Network, LLC, and a registered representative of LPL Financial, member SIPC. Your money brought to you by Brackens Financial Solutions Network.